Welcome to Thoughts and Teens in Focus. I'm your host, Patricia Shrimp. And guess what? I'm at the Barclays Center, meeting and greeting with people out here. You know, we have a children program within the community and a television program that you could enjoy. We deal with community information. We deal with elected officials. We deal with every person that deals with youths in the community and how can the community help our youths. We are here and we are inviting you to stay tuned, have fun with Thoughts and Teens program, know what is going on in the community, listen to your elected officials, and we also have our cultural presentation by youths of the community. We have fashion shows, we have dancing, we have creative arts and craft. So if you want, you can bring your children to Thoughts and Teens, and we are located for our practice session at Get Set Nursery School. Get Set Nursery School is located at 2031 Snyder Avenue. There we meet every Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. Bring your children, we have lots of fun. And just remember, next year we'll be having our Prince and Princess TV series. So if you want your child to be a prince or a princess on our TV show, just come and join us on Saturdays at Bedford Snyder at our practice session. We love to have you there. We love to be with children. We love to share our views and our news and our interviews with you, our community. Have fun, community. The Carnival breakfast morning, and we have here State Senator John Sanson who tell us a little bit of what's going on around here, and also giving us some information and update of the community to slow the pace of the violence that is rising rapidly in our community. Senator Sampson, welcome to Thoughts and Teens, and welcome to the Carnival Day.
Good morning. I want to thank Tots and Teens for the phenomenal work that they're doing, but also you're doing, Ms. Tripp. This is the 45th anniversary of the Carnival. It's about your roots, your heritage, and your culture. It's a dynamic way in which get all our cultures together to understand the importance of working together. We can make dramatic changes in our communities, especially when you talk about the issue of violence. The only way we're going to be able to curb that issue of violence is working together as a community, working together from block to block to block, understanding that we cannot be divided on this issue because a bullet has no name. A bullet can pierce generations upon generations upon generations. What we really need to do is we need to understand the psyche of those individuals so they can learn to appreciate where they live, but most of all, not only appreciate where they live, but understand the beauty of working together in a community to have a wholesome community. So I think one way we can do that is by collectively coming together as a people. Second thing is we can reach out to our brothers and sisters in the clergy so they can assist us to bring that spirituality back to our communities. Working with our educational system because we know that in order for our children to succeed, they have to have that basic educational foundation. So I say in the combination of working everything together, I think we have a great opportunity to do great work and change the dynamics.
Senator, we might be speaking about the youths, and what about the elderly folks who may know what's going on, who is afraid and scared to talk or to say anything because they're afraid that they will be attacked or they will have more violence in their
Well, we have to let them know that we're there to protect them. And we have to be more vigilant in our efforts to assist those young men and women who run in situations like that.
What about the youths in the community? I know that you are all involved. Could tell us something about the youths in the community and what you're doing for the youths and where people could make contact with you or your office to get more information.
Well, I think they can contact by reaching out to my office in Canarsie, but most of all reaching out to all my other colleagues, the elected officials in the community. We have to really get involved in the community, not only with the elected officials, the community boards, the precinct councils, the clergy, working with the principals in the schools and the superintendent, because we have to work together collectively in order to really see the changes.
I know that you're talking about the school board meetings where parents hardly attend school board meetings. How would that be enforced by the community leaders to get parents to come out to school board meetings?
I think one thing is a lot of these parents are in churches, so we need to solicit the assistance from members of the clergy to assist us to push those parents to come out to these PTA meetings.
It was so nice talking with Senator. You always got some good advice to give us and to work along with the community. Thank you, State Senator John Sampson. We're always here to support you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Trim.
It's Tots and Teens, and we're here at the Caribbean breakfast morning for the Carnival. And I have a special lady here who is with us, and she always supports Tots and Teens. It's Congresswoman YvetteKidney. And we're going to give a little talk, and she will talk about how is our progress to resolve the rapid rise and increase of youth violence within the community, and how can the community leaders work along to make a difference with our youth and the community involved.
Good morning, Ms. Trim, and happy West Indian Day Carnival Day. It's my honor to be with you once again, and to your listening audience, you've asked a very important question, and I think each of us in the community have been searching for answers. I am one who believes that there needs to be a redirection of resources directly to the communities that are struggling the most. And those communities tend to be black communities where there are a whole lot of single female headed households that need support and help in raising their children. I believe that resources need to be redirected to early childhood education so that our children are given an appropriate start in learning. Their white counterparts are found to have 5,000 more vocabulary words when they enter school in kindergarten than the average black child. All of those statistics and the science is there that says that early childhood education is the key and the gateway to learning. We got to start somewhere. I believe that if we can break the cycle with children, toddlers, then going forward, they will have developed a discipline and a love for learning that they will not depart from. Aside from that, we've got to redirect resources for young people who want to do the right thing but have access to no other outlets than the streets. They need to have programs that help them to improve upon the skills that they have established, remediate any educational deficits they may have, and point them in the direction of career paths that suit their talents. All of this investment needs to take place. There's been a massive divestment over the past 10 years. The federal government has been of no support, but our state and local has a responsibility as well. If we can fund massive police presence, then we can also fund a commensurate program for our young people within communities targeted at those communities that are low income and with an abundance of single female headed households. So I'm going to be really advocating for that in Washington, in the private sector, and indeed across this nation, because this phenomenon is one that strikes home for all of us. I don't think there's any of us who have not been touched by the loss of life between our young people's gun violence. Every single family, every single person in this community has been affected, and we all have to take a stand together. Another thing I would like to suggest is that we've got to get to know our neighbors better. We know that there are parents that are struggling with the raising of their children. Why not extend a helping hand to that family? Expose that child to a museum or cultural arts, things that your family may be able to provide, but that parent is struggling to provide. We need to do our part. The police department needs to do their part. The city administration, state and federal government need to do their part. But I think if we start in community as neighbors, where a large part of the challenge will be met.
I know that thing, but you know what? Normally, I used to go to school board meetings and community board meetings. But you find that the majority might be in the white community, but the black community parents do not attend school board meetings, they do not attend community board meetings. So they don't know what is going on. And how can the community leaders, enforce it that they participate in the school board meeting, which is important, and the community board meeting particularly?
Well, I go back to my theory about toddlers. One of the things that we find is that parents tend to be much more engaged with their children when they're extremely young. those very formative years. If we can catch them then through early childhood learning centers, bring them in, help them with their deficits. We seem to forget that parents are also challenged with not having completed their educations in many cases, with not having had a stellar performance in our public school system. So, what makes us think that they want to show up all of a sudden to be at these meetings when they themselves have never really been engaged or have been reached out to be engaged in that way? That's why, again, I think the most effective way is neighbor to neighbor, because there's no judgment there. We live together, and I think that there's a fear of judgment that people have, a fear that people will treat them less than because they may have deficits. We need to put all of that aside and remember that we are the village that raises the child.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I know that I can always have you to give some kind of good information to our community and to encourage our parents, because no matter what you say, if the parents are not involved, the children will not able to be able to eradicate what they're going on.
Well, we need to be able to replicate those parents that are involved by really engaging those who are struggling. So, thank you very much. Enjoy Carnival again. To your listening audience, it's my pleasure, and I look forward to being on Tots and Teens with you once again.
Yes, I know. Thank you. And here we are, the Caribbean Carnival Breakfast Morning, and here with me is Mr. Malcolm Smith from the okay, Monty. Here we are, the Caribbean Breakfast Morning, and we're having lots of fun here. I have Mr. Malcolm Smith from the State Senate office in Albany, and he's going to talk to us a little bit what's going on here, and also if he can share some light on the progress of to help eradicate the rapid rise of violence in the community among young people, 13 years and under, and what can we do to get all the folks to be involved to stop this rapid rise of crime against amongst our youth.
Well, first, it's obviously it's good to be here with you. There's no question about that, and I love you much. On this great day when we celebrate, our Caribbean heritage. I have family that was raised. My father was raised in Mandeville. I always say the old Mandeville, not the new Mandeville. Mandeville's too rich for me now, but this is always one of the greatest parades throughout the city. People come from all over the city. It's a wonderful day. We have our Jamaican heritage. We celebrate. So I'm here to enjoy myself, to have fun. This is a great year. But speaking of the violence, there's no question. We had a very successful gun buyback program, the best in the city. Over 500 guns turned in. But we really got to pay a lot of attention to our young people and make them understand that we love them and that this city is a place where they can grow up and have all their hopes and dreams come true. So we're going to band together throughout the city. Everybody needs to come together to talk about one solution: family, their faith, and how do we get our children to understand the importance of being productive. And I think it's going to happen. I talk to our young people. They want to do things. They do. They're not all bad. They want to get involved. They just need people to reach out to them. So we're going to make some tough gun laws, no question about it. We're going to get the bad guns off the street, but we're going to make sure that our children know that we love them.
And you know what, Mr. Smith, we're talking about getting the children. What about getting the church back to schools and getting the principle of spiritual understanding back into schools so the children can really know, because all they know is violence, and that is becoming because we don't have much churches or much spiritual thing. I like to share my point of view where the Jews have their forum and their religion in their school, and what happened to our children? We're all displaced and disabandoned.
Well, of late I've spoken. A lot of people have been talking about, the reinstituting prayer inside the schools. And while that obviously becomes an issue that needs to be a debate, I'm a Christian and I believe in prayer, and I believe that part has been missing from a lot of our children. They need to understand that faith, and I think the clergy are doing the best they can, but we've got to come together and work with everybody so that this is our challenge. It's not his problem or her problem. It's all of our challenges. And I love my children.
We need to give back the schools to the church so we have a better community.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you for being with Tots and Teens. You know, you're not a tot or a teen, but you're just right for the Tots and Teens
There you
program.
go.
Here we got Mr. Frank Sidio. He was a past assembly member, right? Am I right? and he's still in the community. He's working hard, and he's a district leader for the 59. But we're going to talk here about this carnival, what's going on here, and then we're going to ask Mr. Sidio his views on the rapid rise of gun violence is affecting our youth in the community. And what I would say is that because they don't have no spiritual understanding, so the youths are getting gunned down at a tender age. The schools are disorganized, and Lord help us. Say what you have to say.
Hi, first of all, good morning, everyone. We're here at the West Indian Day Carnival breakfast, which is the beginning of the event. 43 years ago, I had the pleasure of being the police officer who handled the first police detail for the West Indian Day Parade. A young gentleman by the name of Carlos Lozama joined me that day and said, we want to run a parade on Eastern Parkway. Here we are, 43 years later. I've had the pleasure of serving in that capacity for over 12 years, and for the last 25 years I've been the attorney for the West Indian Day Parade. Carnival in Brooklyn is the best event in the entire world. Even Trinidad has a tough time competing with us, although it's a great parade there as well. And I have to tell you that we look today with the weather. God has favored us with great weather. And thank God we're going to have a great parade. The Moss bands are ready, the pans are ready, and we're all ready to jump up on Eastern Parkway today and make it another great event. And you know, we were talking about some of the violence that occurs around the parade. I've got to tell you that we've been fortunate. None of the violence that occurs has happened on the avenue. It's always been, unfortunately, surrounding this area. But it seems that it's much more in this last month. I don't know, it's because we had such good weather, and I don't know what's causing it. But I do know we need to do something about it. And the first and most important thing we could all do as citizens is when we see something, say something. Don't back away. Don't not be a witness because you're afraid. The police will work with us. We need to make sure that when violence occurs, that we're all a part of a solution to prevent it, and we're all a part of a solution to make sure that those that commit it are brought to justice. Our children are too important to us. Our families are too important to us. And the things that occur around us are only going to occur to us individually. It's not the city that's doing it, it's people. And we need to let those people know it's not acceptable, you can't do it, and we're going to let you go to jail if we see you do it.
Mr. Sidio, I know I'm glad you talk about that, but what about people who may know, and because they're being threatened by the gunmen or threatened by, got to be somebody in high authority who's controlling these gun violence and doing these things. So people are willing to talk, but they're scared that they will get killed or get hurt or their family will take. How can those people express themselves to the police and believe in the police that their names would not be called?
Well, first of all, it has to be, I know how hard it is to be a witness in something. I was a police officer for 12 years on the streets, and I know what that means. And you can do this anonymously. You can just call tips. You can call even to the local precinct and not give your name and give the information. But when all's said and done, we do fear for ourselves. And I think the best thing to do is, if you have to, is make that call. Don't give your name. You don't have to. You're not obligated to. Just give the information. If you know someone that's committed violence, you should make sure that happens. Also, we have the toughest gun laws in New York and the United States. We've got to help cut those guns from coming down from the other states who think nothing of it, that someone should be able to walk into a door, buy a gun, and drive away. And that's what we need to focus on too. It's a national problem. We do what we can, but our fort is only as strong as its weakest link. And the weak link in this is the ability to buy guns so easily.
Thank you, Mr. Sidio. I know I could have got a good word from you and seen that you're a part of this historical moment of this carnival. Oh, I honor you. I honor you as Thompson Team's member, community member.
God bless all, and let's have a great parade today.
Thank you very much. Have all American, all Caribbean, and all nation are participating here. I have with me Democratic District Leader Walter T. Mosley, who is running for the Democratic seat for the Assembly. But we will be talking to him about the community and what he will be doing for the community and how he will help to eradicate the rapid rise of violence among our young people. 30 years, the teens who are being gunned down rapidly. What will be the program, the progress that they can implement to make this Brooklyn a safer place for us all?
Thank you, Ms. Trim, for the opportunity, and happy Labor Day, West Indian Day celebration to all. My name is Walter Mosley, candidate for New York State Assembly. The one thing that I will say is that there is no silver bullet. There's no one answer to this problem. We know we have to get our young people off the street, but we also have to give them a viable alternative, something productive that they can do with their lives, while at the same time understanding that we also have to provide employment opportunities for them. We also have to make sure that we get our older generation involved with our young people and get them engaged so that there's no gap in terms of people's ability to develop and have the necessary coping skills to deal with life's turmoils and life's atrocities and life's obstacles. So there are things that we're going to be working on both in Albany, working with my fellow legislators in the Assembly, likewise working with congressional members and people and elected officials in the City Council. So there is no one single answer. There are a multitude of answers that will take on these complex issues that result in gun violence, gang violence, and just mischief behavior that we can eradicate if we all work together collectively as a whole. So I look forward to doing that as a member of the Assembly in the 57th Assembly District. And I look forward to having you all come out to vote Thursday, September 13th, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The polls are open. That's Thursday, September 13th. God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley. Thank you for that wonderful talk and knowing that Walter was my good friend. And I'm so happy that you're taking this step of being an elected
Thank you,
official.
Mr. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're at the Carnival having lots of fun. I have some very important elected officials. We will have some discussion and talk about what in the community and what they are doing for the community and how they can eradicate the rapid rise of the gun violence that is affecting our youth 13 years and under. It's too much going on. And what program can they implement to make Brooklyn or to make New York a safer place for our community? Mr. Blasio, welcome to Thoughts and Teens in Focus. I give you the mic so that you can move it.
Thank you. Well, for me, this parade, first of all, is a reminder of what New York City is really about. 5 boroughs, neighborhoods of people, the grassroots. This is what we celebrate today. Not just the incredible contributions of the Caribbean people in this city, but what the city's really made about. Not just big skyscrapers in Manhattan, but communities of people who have built and shaped this city. And my wife Charlene and I today have a special feeling of celebration because her family is from Barbados and St. Lucia, and we celebrate that heritage and that we've passed to our children. But in terms of the issues of the day, it's obvious to me that safety, it comes from a combination of a strong police force. Thank you. Well, for me, this parade, first of all, is a reminder of what New York City is really about. 5 boroughs, neighborhoods of people, the grassroots. This is what we celebrate today. Not just the incredible contributions of the Caribbean people in this city, but what the city's really made about. Not just big skyscrapers in Manhattan, but communities of people who have built and shaped this city. And my wife Charlene and I today have a special feeling of celebration because her family is from Barbados and St. Lucia, and we celebrate that heritage and that we've passed to our children. But in terms of the issues of the day, it's obvious to me that safety, it comes from a combination of a strong police force and a real relationship between police and community. We have not had that enough lately in this city. I believe we need a reform, particularly the stop and frisk program, so we bring police and community together. That is actually the path to long-term safety.
Yes, I know that bringing police and the community together, but there are some people who would not want to give any information because they're afraid that they will be gunned down or their family will be gunned down. Years ago, we had a church in place of schools, and some schools are having their church and some are not. What will be your message like to encourage the spiritual knowledge back into schools?
Look, I think that there's always a challenge in a democratic society of how you balance spirituality and the public sector. But the way I'd say is a little bit different. It's what we face as parents every single day. I think what the city needs to do is help families and parents more. I think if you strengthen families, you're also going to strengthen the impact of people's faith in terms of strengthening their children. Right now, I don't think we have a parent-friendly approach to government in this city. Whether you talk about the cuts that happen in childcare, whether you talk about the fact that there's not really support for parents who are working, things like paid sick leave to protect the interests of working parents, and that, God forbid, a child is sick, that they have some kind of option. We don't have a parent-friendly approach. We certainly don't welcome the role of parents in our public school system. If we want to get back to some core values that will also encourage families to stick together and children to be safe, we got to start by actually helping parents.
Thank you, Mr. Bazzi. And behind every good man, there is a good woman.
Beside.
Oh no, beside every good man. No, he can't do it by himself.
That's right. And good men like Matthew Eugene.
That's right. That's right. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to get out there in March. I would add to what Bill is saying by calling on all parents to just pay more attention to your children, what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, because it all comes down to what happens at home in addition to what we do in terms of supporting, in terms of government support.
I want to get back to some core values that will also encourage families to stick together and children to be safe. We got to start by actually helping parents.
Thank you, Mr. Bazian. Behind every good man, there's a good woman.
Beside.
Oh no, beside every good man. No, he can't do it by himself.
That's right. And good men like Matthew Eugene.
That's right. That's right. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to get out there in March. I would add to what Bill is saying by calling on all parents to just pay more attention to your children, what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, because it all comes down to what happens at home in addition to what we do in terms of supporting, in terms of government support. So please, parents, pay attention to your children and make sure you know who they're hanging out with.
Thank you, Mr. Bazian. Thank you, Mrs. DiBazio, for being here. And I met you at the Immigration Forum.
Yes.
Yes. I'm all wrong.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you for having
Okay then, thanks. All right. Hi, now we have Caribbean break this morning, and we're here with Mr. Abe George. He is a candidate for the Brooklyn District Attorney in Brooklyn. I know that you have interest in Brooklyn and the situation that is going on in Brooklyn, the crime, the rapid rise, the youths are being died, the parents who are being gunned down. People are afraid to give information. We have our Brooklyn president here, but what would be your input to make a massive turnaround to eradicate this child, because a child slave murder that is taking place? And what would be your mission to make Brooklyn a better community?
I think that's a great question. And first of all, I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I've been a prosecutor for the last 8 years at the Manhattan DA's office. I left 2 months ago to run for Brooklyn DA for the very same reason that you talked about. Brooklyn has led the city in violent crime from 2005 to 2012. We've led the city in homicides and shootings, and we need to do more. We need to be more innovative about fighting crime. One of the things I propose is developing an intelligence unit where we can coordinate with the police department, with community officials, with the schools, with the court system to gather intelligence. The Brooklyn DA's office right now, I believe, is taking a step backwards. They're not taking advantage of existing technology and existing information to fight crime. Information is the way to stop crime. Getting information, having the DA's office have proactive solutions to fighting crime. You can't stop and frisk away your problems, and that's what we've kind of been seeing in terms of how we're going to handle this particular situation. If we look at not only violent crime, look at identity theft, look at cyber crimes. The Brooklyn DA's office is far behind that. They're not able to handle it. And part of my campaign is going to be about innovations, new ideas, new energy to stop crime. Because no mother, wherever she should be in Brooklyn, should worry about her children when she kisses them goodbye in the morning that they're not going to come back. And I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to fight for the people of Brooklyn.
Thank you very much for giving that information, and good luck on your return, because we need to stop the rapid rise of this crime that is. Be afraid to go out. I'm afraid to go out anywhere because I'm afraid a bullet has no name.
Of course. And that's
only person that pulled the bullet, who pulled the bullet, not the trigger, but the person behind the trigger.
one of the things I've also talked about is a citywide gun task force to go after these guns. We have all these guns coming in from other states, but yet there's no citywide prosecutorial body to go after these guns. So that's another idea. What we need are not politicians that have been in office forever. We need young ideas, we need young energy, new ideas to help combat this type of crime. Okay? It's a pleasure talking to you. Have a great day at the parade. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much, and thank you. Good luck on your thing.